Hello students, welcome to short concept video session on Medico apps. Today I'll be discussing a concept on curve of spee. Now curve of spee is very important concept which you should know for your Viva question as well as for your MCQ question. So let's start today's discussion, but before that I want you to subscribe our YouTube channel so that whenever I discuss such kind of short concepts and MCQ discussions, you will be notified for all those things. So let's start by hitting the bell icon and let's move to today's topic of curve of spee. Now, when I say the curve of spee, the other names for curve of spee are the anteroposterior curve or the curve of occlusal plane. Now, why are we calling them as, or why are we calling the curve of spee as anteroposterior curve? You will be understanding when I'll be deeply explaining you what exactly is curve of spee. But before that, I want you to know that this curve of spee, the Wilson's curves, these are all known as compensatory curves or compensating curves. Now, what is this compensatory curve? So, a curve is made just to create or permit the balanced occlusion. That means it is very important to get a balanced occlusion in the oral cavity and especially from the mandibular condyles, as they are very important for the as the mandible moves from centric to eccentric position when in the balanced occlusion. Balanced occlusion is when the teeth are in proper occlusion. So all these curves plays a major vital role when we discuss about the balanced occlusion. So let's see what exactly is this curve of spee and why we call it as the compensatory curve. Now, as you know, and as we have discussed it previously also about the Wilson's curve, and Wilson's curve was from side to side. But here, if I am specifying that the curve of spee is anteroposterior. Now, if I am saying anteroposterior, that means something, a curve which is from the anterior region to the posterior region. That means from front to the back. So here, this compensatory curve or the curve of spee basically starts from the cusp tip of the canine moving backwards, that means moving posteriorly from the premolars to the molars, moving ahead and reaching the ramus of the mandible. As you can see, this is premolars, molars, passing through that, passing to the ramus of the mandible and then finally ending posteriorly at the mandibular condyles. So that is why I told you that mandible condyles play a major role because they move when we are from the centric to eccentric relationship in the oral cavity. Okay, so we can say this curve is from the canine to the mandibular condyles, as you can see in this image. But when and how can you see this sort of a curve? So this basically is seen when we are seeing the buccal aspect with the mouth slightly open. But let me just tell you one thing, that this is the front view of our face and this is the buccal view of our face. So this curve of spee is basically when we are discussing from this region to this region, and then only we are going to say that from the buccal aspect, viewed from the buccal aspect, the cusp tip of the canine region moving towards the posterior teeth, following a gradual curve anteroposteriorly and reaching till the condyles of the mandible. So this is exactly the curve of spee, and that is why we are calling it as an anteroposterior curve, because we are moving from the anterior region to the posterior region, and that is the curve of spee. I hope you have understood the difference between the Wilson's curve, which was from side to side, from one side of the mandible to the other side of the mandible. But here we are only discussing from the front region, that is the anterior region, to the posterior region. With this, I want to also discuss the kind of curve it will be forming. So definitely the maxillary arch will be forming a convex curve, whereas the concave curve will be formed by the by the mandible. So same is mentioned here, that the maxillary will be forming a convex curve, whereas the mandible arch will be forming a concave curve. So this is the curve of spee, and I hope you have understood what exactly is a compensatory curve, which is known as curve of spee. So now you can easily answer the question for your examiner, as well as you can also answer it for the MCQ point of view. So just keep revising such kind of topics with me, and don't forget to subscribe our BDS Express YouTube channel. You can also join our exclusive WhatsApp group on www.medicoapps.org/group, so that you will be notified with all these important discussions which we are going to do in future also, and previously also you will be notified for all the discussions we have been doing on the dental topics. So kindly subscribe all these important topics. For all these important topics, kindly subscribe our channel and keep watching such kind of videos, MCQ discussions, for your benefit. Thank you for now. Good day, good luck.